Yo, welcome. Wolfpack chat. It's November 4th. Yesterday was my dad's birthday. Y'all want to say hi to the big dog? Come here's. Come here's. Come up here, Bubba. Come on, give me hugs. Oh, come on. This is a sweet dog. Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Whoa, where's she going on? Okay, get off. Go on. So, here we are. Today, we are talking about, drum roll, sorry, electrolytes, sweating. A number of you have been going through sweat tests. Initially, kind of a new incentive on the training plan that we've been giving out to folks new to the team. And so a lot of sweat tests have been done and a lot of questions, and this is an area that we don't educate much on, or we're not quite sure. So first thing is to understand everybody sweats differently. Everybody is chemically designed to sweat differently, and so how much you sweat out, say given in an hour, is different than everybody else. You know those people that you've ran with and they have sweat dripping on their hands are really super duper gross. And then there's people that don't seem to sweat very much at all. And then you have sweat concentration. So of what you are sweating, everybody is different in how much they put out electrolyte wise. There's more than one electrolyte. There's 4 of them. And so you are sweating out a percentage of all of them when you are exercising, sweating, living, dealing with life, etc. And just because maybe if you were to Google about the percentages, just because, say, magnesium is a lower percentage within your sweat concentration doesn't mean that it's less. Percentages within the body don't need to be compared to each other because they all do different things. They're in their different games. So like a magnesium and a sodium don't compare ratios or anything like that. So this can be a very big topic. And so there's a lot of confusion about sweating, and it's sort of a pet peeve of mine that due to certain marketing techniques by certain companies within the need sodium thing, a lot of people think that cramping is due to not having enough sodium, and that's incorrect. It's not that simple. So we need to be cautious about the education, where we get our education. We need to make sure that we don't get them from products, and certainly don't get them from products from people that don't have any letters behind their name or whatever. So just because somebody makes a product or pushes a product or is an ambassador for a product, please don't take what they say as complete whatever, regardless of how well they perform, how cute they are, what their kit says. We need to go back to the science on this. There was a soapbox there. Sorry, folks. So there's a number of different misnomers brought about by one thing or another. Sodium is one of them, and that you only need sodium when it's hot. That's awful. It's terrible advice, because you don't just utilize sodium when it's hot. A muscle contraction takes sodium in order to do it. So if you want performance, if you want to do a workout well, and then if you want to repair and rebuild and benefit from the workout, you need to make sure that your hydration is on point. And hydration means utilizing H2O fluid and combining it with the appropriate electrolytes, either outside or with the water, in order for your body to do something with it. So an example is sloshy bellies when you're running. I'm afraid to drink water because I don't want a sloshy belly, but it's okay to completely dehydrate yourself when you're running. That's like one of the biggest, I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Yes, I understand sloshy belly, but you have a sloshy belly because you're not taking in enough sodium or you don't have enough in the first place. GI issues, not performing well, or workouts where you fall off at the end is a big deal. So this is one of the reasons why I try to throw out some of these Barbie interval workouts and impress on you to not let the pace drop at the end, not the last mile is the fastest mile. There's mental grit, and there is making sure that you are at least doing your electrolytes right, and hopefully your calories too, in order to finish the workout strong. And I have seen that if people want to reduce calories on their workouts to maybe become more fat adapted or more insulin sensitive and fuel less on certain runs, you can do that, and it'll work much better if you are hydrating / electrolyting up correctly during these long workouts. If you feel like trash on a workout, you have to ask yourself why, and it's like, did I drink enough water? Did I add enough electrolytes to that, or were my calories right or wrong, or did I fuel correctly during or before? So this is why we're starting this off, and we're going to try to do a lot more education with this topic in mind. One of the gotchas with this particular topic is we are coming out of FDA salt kills kind of mentality. So labels are funny, recommendations are funny. We don't have a, hey, you're an endurance athlete, here's how much sodium you need during the day and here's how you get it. We don't have that yet. So we go based on evidence. So if you are appropriately electrolyted, meaning you were drinking, we'll just dumb it down, 8 glasses of water a day, and your rings fit fine and you didn't have any puffiness or bloating from that, meaning that you were drinking your water correctly. And this doesn't apply to folks with hypertension and on water management pills because that skews the thing. So assuming that you were electrolyted well, you would sweat like what you determine you sweat on a given workout, etc., etc. You finish workouts where your rings stay the same, you don't get puffy fingers, you don't get sloshy bellies, etc. So one of the things that I do on long workouts is I pay attention to my ring size. I pay attention to having a headache or not later. That's a kind of a big sign of dehydration. And then what my feet and my ankles do after long workouts. Okay, so this is not an easy topic, and the products are making it easy. Seem easy, it's not. You need to pay attention to what you're doing. You need to write it down and wash, rinse, repeat, and make sure that your performance feels good. You feel good later, feel good the next day, etc., etc. Okay, so sweat tests. Sweat tests are super, super duper easy. I like to do them on my trainer and on the treadmill at home because you have to get naked. And what I do is I get naked, I stand on the scale, I write it down, I do my workout. You pay attention to how much water that you drink in ounces. And then when you're done with the workout, say an hour of whatever, I make notes of what kind of workout it was. You're going to sweat more if you work harder. You should sweat more if you work harder. So today I was doing an FTP test and a heart rate test, and I was doing intervals. And I was happy. And I was sweating a lot. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do a sweat test. And that's going to tell me kind of what I'm doing, how much water I need to support, water being hydration being with sodium, what do I need to support this type of effort? And for me, I wrote the notes down. This is the notes. It's easy peasy. Done. For that particular ride, I lost 0.5 pounds. I drank 17 ounces of water. And so that's roughly 25 ounces of water, and it was 50 minutes. So, you could say 25 ounces of water for an hour, but that'd be a little less, but it'd be fine on an easier ride. So that's more than a bike bottle of water. Is probably a bike bottle and a half of water that I would need in an hour to not get dehydrated. And we seem to run around thinking it's okay to get dehydrated. And in one workout, it might be. And you could probably drink later to make it up, but you're probably not drinking any electrolytes in the water later. So you're not quite hydrating because along with being dehydrated, you're being low in sodium. So the other caveat, and I think I want to say it was Kristen. Sorry, Kristen. I want to give you credit. You're awesome. She was the first one to do this experiment for me. I've been doing it myself, but I wasn't doing the sweat test with it to see a difference. So you are not going to sweat if you're already dehydrated. Sounds pretty obvious when you say it like that, right? You will not sweat if you're already dehydrated, or you won't sweat as much. The other thing is you will not have a thirst response if you are low in sodium on a day-to-day basis. So if you're eating super clean, not eating out of a box, not salting your food, you are a creature of mostly water, and that water is 1%, okay? That water is not distilled water. Your eyeballs, your snot, you are 1%. So that means that if you're not eating enough sodium, you're going to be low. And it's probably fine for the everyday Joe who maybe exercises 3 times a week, doesn't do a whole lot, isn't pushing himself, etc., etc., etc. However, it is not okay for people that are doing 2-a-days to be slightly dehydrated throughout the day. Their electrolytes are off, magnesium is off, you're getting restless legs, you're sleeping like crap, etc., etc., etc. And then continue to do workouts where you don't add sodium in, or you continue to dehydrate yourself. We end up with puffy beings. We hold on to the water that we do drink because your body can't do anything with it. The science behind it, and I'll put some links in. There's an electrolyte podcast and link. Your body has to have the appropriate amount of sodium to do a ton of things, everything. And in water management and moving water, the water movement is not passive like you think or like you would assume, or maybe you don't even think about it. It requires a doorbell to open the door and things to move, and then a doorbell to close it and things to move. There's a lot of different things that go on, and that's the same with like a muscle contraction. It requires sodium to do a contraction. Magnesium, potassium required to turn the contraction off. It just doesn't happen, poof. Oh, I'm done with that muscle contraction. It's going to go off by itself. That's not how it works. That's why you get restless legs at night and cramping in the pool. Because you turn the darn thing on when you kick off of the pool, and then the calf cramps up because you don't have enough electrolytes on board, magnesium and potassium, to turn the damn cramp back off. And then you're swimming funny for a little bit because you're afraid that here in a second you're going to potentially drown because your calf is cramping. That's electrolyte management, okay? So you could sit there at the pool deck and drink all day long, and that calf cramping is still going to go bad. Okay, if it does get better, it just meant that you were really dehydrated. But that's kind of like the thing. So anyway, we try to get some clues about what to tell you to do with this sweat test. And the thing that that was mailbox, wasn't it? So the thing that we told Kristen to do was to drink a bike bottle of water an hour before the run. And to have it be liquid IV, or a bike bottle of water needs 700 milligrams to be roughly 1%. And so I think I might get these numbers wrong. But her first sweat test, in an hour, it was 12 ounces that she lost, which I looked at and I'm like, oh, that's not very much. There's something wrong. And then the second time we did it, it might have been double, if not more, that. There was a significant, shockingly surprising difference on the numbers based on having a big amount of sodium prior to the workout. I have experienced that myself. And I feel better. I warm up faster when I do use liquid IV because I like the potassium in it with my heart stuff. I just feel more relaxed and it helps me get warmed up faster. So I'm not saying go buy liquid IV, though if you do, you'll love it. I'm just saying the electrolytes are super important because the majority of us are walking around dehydrated, not enough sodium and not enough magnesium, not enough electrolytes on board anyway. A lot of it's due to gut health, just not knowing what we're doing, not the right tools to do it. There's research coming out, and there's a link on the website if you want to search for it. Maybe search for salt. There's research now coming out, medical research, that shows that people not having enough salt, sodium, is a problem, is causing severe problems too. And me personally, my real close up rub with this was during all my heart stuff and medicating it, being on a sodium channel blocker. So that means that system-wide, your entire body gets shut down a little bit on its ability to utilize sodium. And it was awful, like shit show. Anyway, so that's why I don't take it. So sodium. Doing the sweat test is important and it's super easy. Okay? Get naked, weigh yourself, do your workout. I dry myself off. I get naked again, weigh myself, keep track of the water, and then take some notes. I was on my bike in my house. The fan was on a little bit. And, I was doing intervals. And just keeping track of that so you can see over time, hey, I need a bike bottle of water per hour when I'm just doing normal biking. I need 2 bike bottles of water per hour when I'm biking outside and it's 114 freaking degrees and whatever. Just understanding that's super smart. How you recover faster, how you perform better, how you get to your goals faster. And so you could do less, skip things sometimes to do other shenanigans. No, maybe, yes. Okay, so the sweat test is easy. You need to be appropriately hydrated prior. So I like to do a bike bottle of water with liquid IV, or if your belly handles it, the Electrolytes have similar makeup that the liquid IV does. It just tastes way awful, the Gatorade stuff, so you have to mix it with something. I'm doing most of my training very clean, becoming more fat adapted, burning more fuel, so I'm adding in less calories. The liquid IV tastes really good. The Electrolytes do not, so you'll have to add something into them. Miso or something like that works fine. And the other thing with the Electrolytes, they are cheaper by like 3 times the amount cheaper, like maybe 40 cents per packet, where liquid IV might be $1.25 a packet. They have magnesium oxide in them, the Electrolytes. Magnesium oxide, which is the kind that you don't want. So people with sensitive bellies do not want to try the Electrolyte. I mean, you could try it and it would maybe do a bowel movement for you if you needed that. So anyway, electrolytes are stupid important. Oh my God. Right, Michelle? When you get done with a race and you... the EFI was a good fuel at one point in time. And it had I think when I looked, it might have had 24% magnesium in it. That's a lot. Considering that you would be doing it for all, like 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever, Ironman. It had a lot of bag magnesium in it, and I really liked that product until the end, because when I stopped, I had probably 20 minutes to get to somewhere. And that was the moments where you had to get somewhere, or is it going to be awful wherever you were at? And there was no stopping it. That's how bad it was. Just a mass exodus of things. Anyway, so yes, times like 10 more. It was awful one time at Boulder, and I couldn't get to a bathroom, and it was on the side of the road. It was awful, and it was embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Haha, funny. The results of the sweat test mean how much water you need to be drinking. You really don't want to lose water weight during working out, especially if you're doing 2-a-days. When I'm lifting, I have something in my water. And so, because I want performance, I want 2-a-days. I don't want to get to Friday and be slightly dehydrated, or I didn't sleep very good because I was dehydrated. And then, I want to sort of set myself up for really good long workouts. And if you're going into your long workouts dehydrated, that's not smart. So you need to really kind of understand that you do need to be replacing your electrolytes somewhere. Okay, so the last thing I guess we'll talk about is what to do. So if you don't understand how to figure this out, get with me. The principle is that for 1,000 milliliters, which is roughly, I don't know how many ounces. I'm going to get this wrong. 1,000 milliliters. Might be 25 ounces. 1,000 milliliters of fluid, you need 1,000 milligrams of sodium to turn it into 1%. This is why I talk in bike bottles. So like a 20-ounce bike bottle, you need roughly 700, 800 milligrams of sodium in there to turn it into roughly 1%. One lick of base salts, right? That diameter right there. This is why the base salts tubes. You need the base salts. It's just Himalayan sea salts. That's all you need. Don't continue to buy the sea salts. They didn't make something super cool. They just found something, and they're selling you plastic tubes for an awful amount of money. So this size on your thumb, when you lick it, that much salt is a good way to measure 100 milligrams of sodium. 100 milligrams of sodium is a lick. Okay, so how I skin this cat is I use liquid IV. It's 500 milligrams. My Infinite right now that I'm really not using much of because I'm going more fasted into these workouts. Fasted means low calories, not low electrolytes. Okay, knowing the difference. You can do a really good workout and feel pretty good if you're burning fat for fuel, if you have the right electrolytes on board. Okay. So I use liquid IVs 500. My Infinite has 500 just for easy math. Gatorade, Gatorlights. It's so funny to say. They didn't product search that very well. They have 500 milligrams. Another option, you may just do base salts if you want to, but just the whole licking thing over time just gets really kind of tiring. This stuff is another option. This stuff is expensive too. Kind of why I save it for a rainy day, special day. It's the right stuff. And it has, okay, this one package, hold your pants on, peoples, has 1,700 milligrams of sodium per this one thing. Okay. And it has no potassium. That's why I don't use it very much, because you just don't need sodium. You need potassium as well. The chloride you get along with things. Let's see, electrolyte. The magnesium you take outside of training and racing in a supplement that you do consistently for the rest of your life. So the right stuff is there, but it's only salt. Sodium. Precision Hydration has a good thing sort of kind of going on, but they tie theirs to volume of water, which I'm not super duper pumped about. And I don't believe that they have any potassium in it. So my choices that I go towards are Liquid IV. I'm using the Electrolytes. I don't like the magnesium in it because it does things. But Noon is a decent product, but you have to understand that a Noon Fizzy Tab, I think, has 300 milligrams of sodium in it. So if you're putting one Fizzy Tab into a liter of water, it's a third of what it needs. In a bike bottle, it might be 40% of what it needs, one Fizzy Tab of Noon. So you kind of can see where things are a little deficient. The FDA, whatever it's saying on it, one serving size is one of these, whatever. I don't understand why they're still doing that, because it just doesn't make sense with the 1% idea. And you are 1%. If you were dehydrated and went into the hospital, you would get a drip of 1% with some stuff in it. Okay. So Noon, though, is a way to, somebody asked, sip on it daily. I do. This sounds weird. I like to drink hot water, and in here is hot water with a Liquid IV in it, and then a serving of BCAAs. You should see the color. It's awesome. So that was the cocktail to have after I had a hard bike ride. I do my sodium, like I'll eat eggs and I'll put a ton of sodium in it. The sriracha mayo that I use has lots of sodium in it. So I intentionally add sodium and salt to what I do. The nuts that I'm snacking on are salted. So I try to get in salt throughout the day, because I don't like buying a whole bunch of Noon or this or that. So if you have somebody coming in, and this is kid appropriate too, people that have headaches and whatnot after working outside all the time or whatnot. Derek used to do this when he was working outside in the military. He'd come home and he'd be like a wilted plant, and he'd have a headache, and he's fair-skinned redhead. So the redheads are going to deal with not dealing well with the sun more than others. Kate's like that. A number of you are like that. Doing some Liquid IV stuff, it's an instant pick-me-up, and so you should really kind of recognize, and maybe drink just straight water and drink Liquid IV. There isn't one person that I've heard of lately that hasn't completely digged Liquid IV. It's just expensive, and they aren't interested in team discounts or even doing anything team-wise. They're more of a Whole Foods. I'm in Whole Foods, and I don't need to give you guys a discount kind of person. They were giving me 20%, but they won't let me pass it on to you as a regular, consistent thing, which, fine, whatever, I don't understand. Okay. So that's a lot on electrolytes for kind of like the off season, just kind of in a general thing. Let me know if you guys have any questions or whatnot, if this didn't answer things. There's not any like really clear do this. At minimum, on a day when I have lots of money to spend on Liquid IV, I'll do 2 a day, along with all of my eating of salty foods and then I will also use it during training. So you can see how it gets to be a little bit expensive. So you could go with base salts. You could go with the Electrolytes. They're cheaper. There's a lot of different ways. You'll just have to figure out how to do it consistently. Remember that it's your puffy fingers and stuff like that. Your skin will tell you how hydrated you are. Your workouts will tell you how hydrated you are. And there was something else I was going to say, but I totally forgot. So I will add it later. I think that's all I want to say. I hope that you guys have a great week. Let me know if there is anything that you want to know in your Wolfpack chats. We have, oh my gosh! John and I came up with and Derek came up with a really good idea. I don't know how sold Susan will be on this idea. However, here's the idea. I'll just give you the secret since you're here. So the secret is that we are going to be doing a virtual race in January. And the word on the street is some of us will be doing a half Ironman virtually, and what we will be doing locally is because somebody wants redemption from Waco. Waco was kind of a shit show. Some people made some mistakes on the bike and almost caused a huge pileup and really kind of took away, stole the race that Coach John should have had. And it was super duper unfortunate, and it's what happens. Unfortunately, it's happening a lot. People don't seem to want to follow the rules, and this is why you will hear me rag and rant about following the rules and being aware of what you're doing on the bike, because two posers in that race who weren't following the rules and being jerk faces caused a multiple bike pile up. Luckily, Coach John wasn't in it, but he did hurt his hamstring avoiding it. So the race turned into an awful thing for him. So what we are doing is, what we're doing is we're going to do a virtual race. And he's going to do a half Ironman. I think I am going to too. Sounds dumb when I'm saying it now. So we're going to swim at the YMCA, and hopefully the YMCA will let us set up our trainers in their little area. And we'll probably be on Zwift and texting other people, and Derek will be there yelling at us. And then we'll get on the treadmill and run 13.1 miles to do a half Ironman. And so if other people wanted to join, you don't have to do a half Ironman. You could if you wanted to. You could do an Olympic. You could show up and just hang out with us. I think we're going to explore the idea of trying to see if somebody could do Google Hangouts possibly. I don't know. However, that's the idea. It's going to be the last weekend in January or the next to last weekend in January, whenever the YMCA figures out when they are doing their inside try. So he's going to have redemption and get his see his work come to fruition in January. Join us if you want. The Wolfpack virtual triathlon. Ta-da! Anyway, so hope you guys are have a great week. Do something brilliant. Do something nice for somebody else. It's the holiday season, so do that. Buy cookies and coffee and stuff for other people, and hold the doors open for people, and smile for strangers, and do lots of fun stuff. So love you all. Let me know if you need anything. Namaste.